Welcome back. I was starting to just do one sermon today, but Most High has me do two, like we usually do, even though this one is later. So this is about the birth of the promised son. Now let's take a look. Again, I don't want people to get confused because in the Bible, the Most High chooses, there's more than one promised son in the Bible. The most important promised son is Messiah, which was prophesied in Genesis 3:15. But there's more than one promised son in the Bible. And let's take a look at Psalms 105. Psalms 105. Yep, Psalms 105. Let's start there. Psalms 105. And again, when you start to read the Bible, and please, read your Bible. It might take you 6 months, might take you a year, might take you 2 years to read through the Bible. Pray to your heavenly Father, our Father, Yah, and let him in his spirit through Messiah guide you through his word. It's a spiritual exercise. What are you doing when you read his word? Not only are you doing what you would do with any book, learning from what the book is saying, but it is a spiritual exercise in that you are feeding your spirit with the food of the word. I learned this a long time ago from a Hebrew Israelite. This was when I was an SDA, a young SDA. I had just actually joined the SDA church as a young adult at age 21 or 22. And I met this man, and this man said he was a completed Jew. He was a brother from the Bronx. He was retiring from driving a city bus from the city of New York. And he said he was a completed Jew. I'd never met anyone like him. He was refusing all denominations. At the time, I didn't understand. Though I knew there was something special about him. He was an older man, much older than me. And so I treated him, I went to him as a father, respectfully. And when I would come to his apartment in the Bronx, especially on Shabbat, you would hear he had tapes of the King James Bible just playing. I said, "You play the King James Bible?" He said, "I'm feeding my spirit with the word." That's what he would say. "I'm feeding my spirit with the word." And that stuck with me. And so when I'm reading through the scriptures, when you're studying the scriptures, what you're doing is you're feeding your spirit with the word. Yes, you are learning a lot from both your history of who you are, your history of your family, your Bible family as Hebrew Israelites, and your future in prophecy. You're learning that as you study the word. But overall, it's an exercise that's causing you to feed your spirit with the word. Okay? And that's what you're doing. All the words of Yah, the Bible says, are pure. Even this was by 8 cubits, by 10 cubits, and this one begot that one. All of that, if it's Yah's words from Yah's prophet, you're feeding your spirit with the word. So continue, please read the word, feed your spirit with the word. Let the Father's spirit take possession of your spirit so that you and the Father will be one. As Messiah and the Father were one or are one, the Father is building us up in Messiah to become one with him. So feed your spirit with the word. So here in Psalms 105, very interesting. In Psalms 105, it gives a history. Actually, Psalms 105 and Psalms 106 are both history of Israel. Okay. And so as you read the word, what I was beginning to say is you understand that the Bible is Israel's history. It's the story of the Israelite nation. That Bible is the story of the Israelite nation. Even when you're starting with Adam, he's telling you, it's Moses writing this, and Moses is telling you how the earth began, how the human family began, and within that human family, how the children of Israel began and how they were chosen and how it was planned out. Moses is writing all of this from Genesis all the way through, as you know, to Deuteronomy. So he's giving you the plan. He's showing you the Father's workings and how he had planned it out and how he knew before the foundation of the earth. And so he's giving you the plan. Now, included in that plan are certain, obviously, human beings that were brought forth for purposes of the glory of Father Yah. Let us never forget, brethren, we're in a war. We're in a war. The Bible showed us how the war began. The war began with a rebellion, a rebellious spirit choosing to try to take the Father's place. This was everybody's choice. He chose that path to try to take the Father's place. And in this war, Father is showing his chosen ones, and at the end, how he will bring victory. Victory of himself, his justifying himself, justifying his perfection of righteousness, his mercy and grace, and he will bring that out in a chosen people. That's what he's doing. This is not, chosen people, so that you can occupy the state of Israel. This is chosen people. So at the end, Father's kingdom is established in his chosen seed, Messiah, and his chosen people, Israel. This is a glory of Father Yah. That's what this is about. So the whole Bible, especially the Old Testament, is continually, always talking about Israel. We are the bloodline of Israel, and we are being called forth, as we mentioned many times, here in the last moments, the last breath of Babylon. Psalms 105. Psalms 105. I'm going to begin at verse 1, and they're going to go down to verse 12. Psalms 105 from verse 1 to verse 12. Give thanks unto Yahweh. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the people. Sing unto him. Sing psalms unto him. Talk ye of all his wondrous works. Glory ye in his holy name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek Yahweh. Seek Yahweh and his strength. Seek his face evermore. Remember his marvelous works that he had done, his wonders and his judgments, and the judgments, of his mouth. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, or Yaakov, his chosen. So he calls Yaakov or Jacob his chosen. He is Yahweh our Most High. His judgments are in all the earth. He hath remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations, which covenant he made with Abraham, and his oath unto Isaac, and confirmed the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance, when they were few in number, yea, and very few, and strangers in it. So this is very powerful, brethren, as you can see in many different ways here. And when you get a chance, as a matter of fact, during my sojournings through the Bible, it was this morning that I read Psalms 105 and 106. Actually, I started at 103 and went all the way to 108. And that's what had me shouting. Well, not quite shouting, but that's what had me saying, Allah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, after reading this history. But with respect to this, as we're looking at it here, seed of Abraham, his servant, children of Jacob, his chosen. Now, let me express to you this thing that many in Christendom, especially, but also others, can misconstrue. That is the term, the object, the thing called the covenant. You see, brethren, when you're listening to heathen trying to teach the Bible, especially those that are of the white Jesus mentality, they'll try to tell you that, he made a covenant with Noah. They call it Noahic covenant, the Abramic covenant, the Davidic covenant, as if they're all different covenants. But really, truly, it's one covenant made with different chosen men. Okay? So it's one covenant, not 5, 4, 3, whatever. It's made with different chosen seed that he has chosen. Starting with Adam. He made a covenant with Adam. Then he made a covenant with Noah. Then he made a covenant with Abram or Abraham. He made a covenant, as we saw here, with Isaac. And he made a covenant with Jacob. And then he said, confirm the same to Jacob for a law and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. It's all one covenant. What does the covenant consist of? All you have to do is listen to what he told each one. Basically, tell me where I'm wrong here. But each covenant is dependent on the obedience to the Father of the one who he's making the covenant with. So he's talking about obedience to him. Very important, obviously, since Adam fell and we got sin through disobedience. So obedience to him. With Adam, do not eat of this tree that I told you not to eat. Of Noah, tell the earth I'm getting ready to set a flood. And I'm going to make you, with me and you my covenant, because you have I seen righteous before me. Okay. With Abram, I'm going to make your seed a great nation. And you're going to circumcise every male of the nation. Of Isaac, I'm going to bless you, as you're going to see as we continue reading through Genesis, because your father Abraham obeyed my laws. I'm going to give you all this land. To Jacob, your name is not Jacob anymore, but Israel. And I'm going to bless you and your 12 children. Your 12 sons are going to be the nation that I've been promising to your fathers. I'm going to establish my covenant with your nation. Everlasting, forever. The covenant is in these 10 laws, these 10 words I gave you, along with what I told your fathers. See, it's the same covenant. Messiah, born in the covenant as part of the promise of the covenant. The promise of the covenant is, I've chosen Israel, and I will remember their sins no more. That's what he said, isn't it? I've chosen Israel, and I'm going to remember their sins no more, because the sacrifice of my son, the sacrifice of the covenant, same covenant, it's all encompassing. It's eternal. That is why the Bible calls the gospel the everlasting gospel in Revelation chapter 14. It calls it the everlasting gospel because this covenant is everlasting. It's forever. It will never go away. It will never fade. It will fulfill as Father say is going to fulfill. In the gospel, Father's righteousness is glorified. The gospel of Messiah, the message, to show to Israel the gospel of Messiah, the power of his Father Yah unto salvation, redeeming, unto all that believe, to the Jew first, chosen people, and also to the Greek. For therein, that is in this power, the Father's righteousness is revealed. At the end of this war, which we're in, and soon to end, the Father's righteousness will be uplifted in honor. The Father's righteousness will be revealed. And all liars that speak against the Father's righteousness will be destroyed. Part of the covenant. Praise the Most High. So he said, and confirm the same unto Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant. Unto thee will I give the land of Canaan, the lot of your inheritance. And they were but few in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it. So before they actually accomplished the fact of taking the land, they were promised the land as part of the covenant. Also, here we are, scattered nation, scattered through the four corners of the earth in the lands of the people that enslaved us. That's where we are. We're scattered in the lands of people that enslaved us. That's where we are. That's where we are. See, in England, a lot of the Hebrews in England were slaves or descendants of slaves from the islands that England controlled. Is that correct or not? They controlled Jamaica. They controlled Trinidad. They control all of those islands, those little tiny islands. They controlled them. And just yesterday, I was talking to a lady. She was checking out he was the cashier, older lady, when I was checking out food, and I can hear the Trini in her voice. See, I can tell Trini's usually because Trinidadians have in their language, in the English they speak, you can hear the British more than you can hear it in Jamaicans or even any other of the West Indians. You can hear the British in it more, right? You can hear their influence. And I said, you're from Trinidad. And she said, how did you know? I said, I can hear there's more British. She said, yes, there's more British in our English than there are in the other West Indians. I don't know why it is, but it is. So she said, yes, I am Trinidad. I can tell. And so in England, what you have is people that were descendants of slaves from those islands that made their way to England after England abolished slavery, right? So that's what you have. What you have in the United States are people that speak English, but are different from British English because the people that came here took over this land, killed all the Indians to make it a Caucasian, generally effect, what they call a white nation. That's what you had here with white Jesus at the head of it. That's what you had. So that's what you have here with these nations. And here we are scattered into all of these places, Belgium, Netherlands, right? Spain, Italy, right? France, right? England, scattered into all of these places where they held slaves, Portugal. And here we are, scattered into these lands. But he is calling forth the seed, his people, from these lands as part of the everlasting covenant. Praise the Most High. See, when you listen to Christians, they talk to you all about these different covenants and different ones and different promises. It's one covenant with one chosen people, made through different people who are the seed of the chosen, including this here. Now, with all that in mind, the part we're looking at today is which covenant he made with Abraham and his oath unto Isaac. This is that seed. So Abraham was a promised seed. Isaac was a promised seed. Jacob, he said here, is chosen, a promised seed. Israel as a nation, a promised seed. And out of Israel, the birth of the Messiah, the promised seed of the nation of Israel. Promised seeds. So today, as we are looking at Genesis 21, David, that's right, thank you, Mark. David, a promised seed. That's correct. David, a promised seed, representing an everlasting kingdom of Israel, an everlasting kingdom with the tribe of Judah on the throne. Correct? Yes. Thank you. That's right. So there you have it. Praise the Most High. And so today, as part of the chain of promised seed, we're going to see the seed promised to Abraham. And again, as we spent a lot of time in our last session talking about, from the queen, from the womb of the woman who would represent the beginning of the nation, the one child she would have of the promised seed that would be part of this covenant. Sarah would have this child. And this is Genesis chapter 21. Genesis chapter 21, beginning at verse 1. Genesis chapter 21. I'm going to start at verse 1. You can see the joy of Abraham and Sarah in chapter 21. Let's start at verse 1 and go down to verse 7. Genesis chapter 21. And Yahweh visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did unto Sarah as he had spoken. And Sarah conceived and bare Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which the Most High had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son that was born unto him, whom Sarah bare to him, YHWH. YHWH, which means laughter. And Abraham circumcised his son YHWH, being 8 days old, as the Most High had commanded him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son YHWH was born. And Sarah said, the Most High hath made me to laugh, so that all that hear will laugh with me. And she said, who would have said unto Abraham that Sarah should have given children suck? For I have borne him a son in his old age. Praise the Most High, the promised son, YHWH, to laugh. The promised son. And it came from the woman that was the promised woman. This wasn't just any sister. This was Sarah, the mother of the nation. So you have mothers in the nation of Israel. Obviously, Eve is a mother of the nation of Israel. And then Sarah is a mother of the nation of Israel. And then, of course, Rebecca is a mother of the nation of Israel. Then, of course, you have Rachel is a mother of the nation. Oh, no. Let me not get ahead of that now. It wasn't Rachel. It was her sister. Her sister. Rachel had Joseph and Benjamin. But her sister, Rachel's sister, had Judah. Leah had Judah. Leah had Judah. Leah is the mother of Judah. Leah bore 6 sons to Jacob. And in fact, when Leah died, there was 2 concubines and 2 wives. She's the only one that was buried next to Jacob. Rachel was buried in Bethlehem. Leah was buried next to Jacob in the same cave that Abraham and Sarah was buried. Even though she wasn't the favored one in terms of who Jacob first wanted, right? Jacob saw Rachel. That was it, baby. That's my woman right there. I'm going to marry this child. But the Most High said, I've chosen you another wife. I've chosen you, Leah. Yeah, you can have Rachel too, but I've chosen you, Leah. And that's what we're saying, brethren. We talked about a chosen woman, a chosen seed, brothers. Jacob wanted Rachel, and he got her. But it was Leah that the father chose to bring forth Judah and Levi. So he brought forth the priesthood and the king from Leah's womb. Gotta recognize. You gotta recognize. Yeah, Rachel was like, he saw Rachel, he was like, okay, yeah, this is the checklist right here. This is the one. And he said, and look, he said, okay, look, I'm gonna serve you 7 years for Rachel. I'll give you 7 years hard work for this sister. And the Bible says, are you going to read? We're going to read. It was like a few days to him. Time came. He said, all right, now, give me my wife that I might go into her. I need to get some of that now, today, tonight. Brother fooled him, though. Brother fooled him. Laban fooled him. Gave him the older daughter first. Hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Got to do the older one first, bro. Because Laban had his own thing. He was being blessed because Jacob was there. He said, okay, for 7 more years, you can have Rachel. Meantime, Leah popping out babies. Meantime, Leah having the priesthood, Leah having the kingdom, Leah having the Messiah's mom, the Messiah's daddy. Leah was the real queen. That's right. So, brothers, here's an object lesson. Sometimes we think we know what we want, but the Most High has a path chosen for us. See that? And look what Leah did. And at the end, by virtue of the fact that Jacob had Leah buried in the cave of that Machpelah that they bought from Machpelah, that Abraham bought, and Abraham and Sarah is there, the fact that he had her buried there shows he knew he had respect to the father's choice. He loved Rachel now, it's so obvious, but he had respect to the father's choice. Okay? Had respect. Now, Reuben was the firstborn, but Joseph got the blessing of the firstborn because we know Reuben had sex with one of his father's wives. And then, so Joseph being the firstborn of Rachel, he took the blessing of the firstborn. Of course, he had to go through his own stuff, But we can see the righteousness of the father in all this. We can see the righteousness in all this. So here, Sarah has Yishak to laugh. She had the chosen seed. Sisters, I know the world diminishes your ability to bring forth as mothers. They do diminish it. The world would rather you be a doctor or a lawyer and rule over men. There's nothing wrong with being a doctor or a lawyer, but the world, you tell me I'm not lying to you, they will have you rule over men, have men not be able to, he can't make as much as I make, his net worth is not doing whatever, and they would have that for you. But the father's greatest choice for you is you're the mother of the chosen nation. Never diminish that. You're the mother of the chosen nation. The seed that you bring forth is of the chosen people. There's nothing more important than that. You're in the lineage of Sarah and Rebecca and Leah. Praise the Most High. And also, let's not forget Ruth. Let's not forget Rahab and Ruth. Praise the Most High. Lots of sisters. Lots of important sisters in this lineage. Praise the Most High. All right. Verse 8. Genesis chapter 21, verse 8. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that Isaac was weaned. Now, weaning of the child. What does that mean? Well, that means the child is no longer eating the breast milk of its mother, right? That's when the child is weaned, correct? So that's right. Let's not forget Mary. Well, you can't forget Mary, or her name is Miriam. Can't forget her because the Catholic Church made her into a god. But yes, she is blessed. There's no doubt about it. So with regard to weaning, though, this is a good object lesson. It's a good actual physical lesson, I find. It's something rarely done today for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that mothers have to work, right? And I think we can all understand that's not the plan of the Father. right? That's not the plan of the Father, that a woman should have a baby and within 6 weeks, 8 weeks, she's back on the plantation doing her work. That's not the way, but you know what? The way this system is operating, that's the way it is. But the father would have it so that a mother's with her child. Her mother's feeding the child, personal connection with the child until it's time for the child to be weaned, right? So let's take a look. I want to show you something. It doesn't particularly say weaning, right? But you got to read a little bit between the lines and tell me if I'm going crazy here. But this is where I'm showing you what this is about, okay? So Leviticus 27. And honestly, that's why I'm saying you got to judge by the Spirit of the Father. I only really have this one witness, actually. That's all I have. I don't have 2 or 3 witnesses. One. Okay. So let's take a look here at the witness and pray. I pray over it. And I'm asking you all to also let the Father show us. Okay. So I'm just telling you up front, when I only have one witness, it's very rare, but this is the situation. So this is Leviticus chapter 27. Leviticus 27. Let's take a look. Talking about weaning, right? But let's take a look. Leviticus 27. This is how the Father counts people as part of the populace by how much he's expecting them to pay to the Levite priesthood based on age. They're going to give shekels to the priesthood based on their age. Okay? So let's take a look at it in Leviticus chapter 27. I praise the Most High because we don't avoid anything. We go through it all, right? Whether I can explain it, whether I understand it, y'all can't say I don't go through it, right? We go through the whole thing. We don't miss anything. Okay. And if I don't understand, I'll tell you. I don't understand. But we're going to hit it. Okay. We're going to go through every word. Let's go through this one. The weaning. Leviticus chapter 27. And let's start at verse 1. I'm going to go through this slow because I want you to understand how by the amount, how they determine the population. Okay. So let's start at verse 1. I'm going to go from verse 1 down to verse 2. Okay. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 1 and 2. Okay. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, and say unto them, when a man shall make a singular vow, the persons shall be for Yahweh by thy estimation. The persons shall be of Yahweh by thy estimation. That is a valuation of the man making the vow. There's a valuation of the man, a value placed on that man based on his ability to make a vow. So far, so good. So there's a amount placed on him based on his ability to make a vow. Okay. Verse 3. And thy estimation shall be of the male from 20 years old even to 60 years old. Even thy estimation shall be 50 shekels of silver after the shekel of the sanctuary. So when a man makes a vow, he makes it with 50 shekels of silver. The age of this man is between age 20 to age 60. Adult male makes a vow. He's going to give 50 shekels to the sanctuary from age 20 to age 60. There's a 40-year period here where he's considered an adult male. Okay. Verse 4. And if it be a female, then thy estimation shall be 30 shekels. So a female of that age group makes a vow, it's 30 shekels to the sanctuary. When a male makes a vow, it's 50 shekels to the sanctuary. Okay. All right. Verse 5. And if it be from 5 years old unto 20 years old, so now you have a separate category. You had a category from age 20 to age 60, and that was 50 shekels for a male. Now you have a category from age 5 up to 20. Okay. And if it be from 5 years old, even unto 20 years old, then that estimation shall be of the male 20 shekels, and of the female 10. So as a grown man, it's 50. That's the max. The next level is from 5 to 20. That's 20 shekels. So from 5 years old to 20. If there's a vow made, obviously 5 years old, right? But it's 20 shekels. Okay. Verse 6. And if it be from a month old, even unto 5 years old, then that estimation shall be of the male 5 shekels of silver, and for the female, that estimation shall be 3 shekels of silver. So you have, these are the age groups, 1 month to 5 years, 5 years to 20 years, 20 years to 60 years. They also have one for the elderly, verse 7. And if it be from 60 years old and above, if it be a male, then that estimation shall be 15 shekels. And for a female, 10. See, it goes back down again, right? So the maximum is between 20 and 60. That's your adult male in Israel, 50 shekels. The next one is from 5 to 20. That's 20 shekels. And then from a month old to 5 is 10. Okay, it's 10 shekels, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 10 shekels for the male and 5 shekels for the male, 3 shekels for the female. So there's divisions here: months to 5 years, 5 years to 20 years, 20 years to 60, and then above 60. Okay, so now, based on that, when a child is born from a month old to 5 years, they're in a category. Once they get to 5, they're in a separate category. So that's where we come with the weaning thing, because the child will be on the mother's breast from a month until 5. Then they will be weaned and they will begin to eat regular food. That's from 5 until 20. Not an adult yet, but not a little baby anymore either. Does that make sense? Yup. So they're babies from month old to 5. From 5 to 20, they're young people, but they're not adults. From 20 to 60, they're adults. Okay. All right. So that's where we get the weaning. So based on this, and again, you could dispute this. If you want to argue with you, tell me whatever, whatever. But this is where I got it from. So in this estimation, Isaac was born 8 days old. He is circumcised. From a month old to 5, he's a baby. And so he gets weaned at age 5. And you can see from chapter 21 of Genesis, they had a celebration when he was weaned, because now he's going from being a baby to being a child, not adult, but a child in the nation. Now he's counted among the populace as a child in the nation. Praise the Most High. So he was weaned. Now, it's important about this because Abraham was 75 years old when he was called from his father's house out of Ur to go to the land of Canaan as a stranger, right? So he had begotten Isaac at age 100. That's 25 years. Isaac is not counted part of the populace as a young person until he's 5. So now when Isaac becomes 5 and he is weaned, Abraham has been 30 years a stranger in the land of Canaan. From Isaac being 5 years old until the day Israel left was 400 years, which tells us that's why Exodus says it was 430 years. The sojourning of the children of Israel was 430 years, because it began with Abraham, their father. And he was sojourning for 30 years until Isaac. Does that make sense, y'all? And he was told, your seed shall be a stranger in a land that's not theirs. And we just read in Psalms 105 that Israel was strangers in the land when they were promised the land. Look, let's go back to Psalms 105. Psalms 105 and verse, let's see. Yeah, verse 12. When they were but a few men in number, yea, very few, and strangers in it. So they were strangers in the land promised to them. It wasn't their land yet until they came across Jordan 440 years later and took the land. Then it became theirs officially, but they were promised the land and they were strangers in the land until that time. So Abraham was a stranger for 30 years. Then he had Isaac. Isaac was 5 years old. And then from that point, they were strangers in the land for 400 years. Now, how long of those years were they actually in Egypt? I've been guessing. I've been trying to estimate. I've been looking at it. And I come up with a number between 100 and 200 years that they were actually in Egypt. And they were strangers in Egypt, but it was until after Joseph's death that they started being treated as slaves, right? So, yeah. So that's why the Bible says it was 430 years. 430 years. Okay. And just to add some more craziness to y'all, I'm coming up with 2032 because of the Feast of the Tabernacles after 2027, 5 years later, 2032. That's what I'm coming up with, right? So if you work backwards from there, 430 years, that takes you to 1602. There was some activity in 1602. I don't know, but that takes you from 1602, 400 years, 2002, 30 years, 2032. It's crazy, I know, but that's just me messing with numbers. I'm not making this official or anything. I'm just saying 430 years. Okay? You're catching it? So, yeah, there you have it. Now, 1602, slavery began, I think, in Brazil. I think it was Brazil. The Portuguese, I want to say, started their little slave trade in 1602. I think it was something like that. So we'll see what happens. I know everybody takes Jamestown, takes Jamestown as the number, and I get it. It's a code because the United States is the lamb-like beast, and so they enslaved us here. 1619 is the official date, but honestly, I'm going to take it a little further. From looking at that Thoughts Camera action video, it affected my thought process in this regard. I think the 1619 project, the 2019, I think it was a scam. I think they were trying to get us to move to Ghana to get our American dollars. I think it was a set. But it doesn't matter, because whether it was 1619 or whatever, it's almost over. That's what I'm saying, brethren. This is the point I want to make here. Don't argue about the 400 years with people. It's obvious it's also Bible, right? I mean, obviously, it's Bible. But in terms of the modern application, don't argue with people. Just know this. It's almost over. Yeah. Just know this. It's almost over. That's really the issue, isn't it? I mean, what's more important for us to understand when 400 years started, or to understand when our cousin coming back? What's more important? See, that's what I'm saying. Don't argue with things to no profit. There's no profit in anybody being able to say, well, was it 1602? Was it 1632? Was it 1619? There's no profit. The profit comes with the prophecy, which means You understand when this is about to end. And more importantly, you're prepared. That's more important, brethren. That we're clothed and our nakedness is covered. That's the most important thing. Okay? That's the most important thing. That's right. That's exactly right. When they did it, but they did do it. That's what we need to understand. You understand? They did do it. You know. I can't help it, Mark. I can't help it. Numbers constantly running through my head all the time. I'm sorry. It's me. But the most important thing is for us to understand it was done. We were stolen, right? I don't think there's very few. There's a couple of knuckleheads out there, but there's very few that don't understand we were stolen as slaves, right? That's indisputable. We are the product of slaves. We are former slaves. That's what we are. Malcolm X said, that's all you are, former slaves. Why? He said, you didn't come over here on the Mayflower. He said, the people that came over here in Mayflower, them was the ones that snatched you. But you didn't come over here to no Mayflower. Okay? And despite what that Coon Carson, sorry, that raccoon Carson says, you didn't come over here for no better life in the bottom of a slave ship. That wasn't the plan. That's right. Plymouth Rock landed on us. So that happened. And that's the important point here. Okay? That's the important point. Praise the Most High. Let's not forget, let's not lose sight of the goal here, lose sight of the point. Our cousin is about to return. We are being prepared to meet our cousin to stand in peace. We're not going to be running and saying rocks in the mountain fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the day of the wrath is come, who shall be able to stand? We want to be standing. Praise the Most High. That's the most important thing. Praise the Most High. But anyway, here, Isaac was weaned. And Isaac was about 5 years old when he was weaned, in my estimation, from what I just shared with you. Again, I don't have 2 or 3 witnesses to this fact, because this is Moses and Leviticus is Moses. Now, I do have Samuel. I was looking for it with Samuel because Samuel's mother waited till he was weaned to bring him to start his priesthood, and he was a little tight when he came. Remember that? But she never gave a number. I got to look at the Hebrew, but she never gave an age of weaning. Maybe I could look that up and see. But when Samuel's mother, I forgot her name, Elkanah's second wife, she had Samuel as a result of praying for him. And when he was weaned, she brought him, because he was a Levite, she brought him to Eli to be the priest there. So be one of the priests there. So I got to look further at that. That could be a second witness, but we will look further at that. And if you all want to go ahead and study it, go ahead and do that. See, remember the rule though. It's got to come from here. You got to have 2 or 3 witnesses. Praise the Most High. All right. Genesis chapter 21, verse 8. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast the same day that the child was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, the Mizraim, which she had borne unto Abraham, mocking. So now there's a little jealousy here. Ishmael understands, though he is Abraham's seed, he is the son of a bondwoman. Isaac is the son of the queen. I know it's not true. The children have no idea, cannot control, just like you and I. We can't control who our mama and daddy is. We can't control how much melanin we have in our skin when we're born, but it means something. Can't say it don't mean nothing. It does mean something, obviously, because as you're going to see in a moment, the son of the bondwoman was not the chosen seed. It was the son of the queen. It's the truth. Is what it is. Okay, is what it is. I can't tell you I didn't choose my skin to be light brown. I didn't say I want this man and this woman to have me. It just happened. A person that's born dark didn't choose to be born dark. They were brought forth dark. A person that's born with no melanin didn't choose to be born with no melanin. They were brought forth with no melanin. But each of us, as upon our birth and when we are developed into adults and young adults, we can choose what we want to do about this. In other words, we can acknowledge what the family of us who are brown have been through and what the family of us with no melanin have been through. We can acknowledge that. Can't control how we got there, but we can surely acknowledge it, can we not? Because it means something. Okay? So while we can't control where we're born, don't diminish what it means. Guess what I'm saying? Genesis chapter 21. So Ishmael is mocking. Verse 10. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son. For the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Ishaq. And Abraham didn't like that. As any father, you had two sons. You love both your sons. But there's a reason they were born, how they were born. You maybe had a little control over that, but the father has his choice. Okay? Verse 12. And the Most High said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad, and because of thy bondwoman. In all that Sarah has said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Yisha'ak shall thy seed be called. This is, I've had talks with Nation Islam people over the years, and they refuse to see this for what it says. This is what it says. They said, well, Ishmael was the chosen one. No, he wasn't. Number one. Number two, don't try to connect Islam with Ishmael. Islam didn't come along until the 7th century. The 7th century AD, 700 plus years after the birth of the Hebrew Messiah. And more than almost 3,000 years after the birth of Isaac and Ishmael. There was no Islam there. There was no Islam. Muhammad, the Arab prophet, brought forth Islam. I don't know why people want to ignore that. But that's the truth. The Catholic Church, the Pope was established as the corrector of all heretics by the French king in 508 AD. That's when you have an institution called Christianity. You did not have it before that. There was no Christianity with the 12 tribes. Abraham didn't bring forth no Christianity. And Messiah didn't bring forth no Christianity. And he's Messiah. He was standing for the tribes of Israel. He came not, he said, but for the lost sheep of Israel. See, you can say whatever else you want to say, but you can't get rid of that. Whatever else you say has to be balanced with that. So yes, he did choose Gentiles to be saved as well, but he came not for the Gentiles. He came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And included in that massive salvation is Gentiles. But there wasn't no Christianity religion when Messiah arrived on the scene. He simply was expounding, clarifying, bringing forth what was given to Israel. Okay? Let's not get it twisted. So, but they all try to act like they old, right? So Christianity try to act like, well, Jesus came and started a new religion. And it was all Gentiles because Jesus was white, really. And then the Muslims were, Islam is thousands of years old, goes back before Abraham. Really? You got to get another book aside from this Bible to come up with that one. Because if you go by this Bible, which is I tell you to go by the Bible, you ain't coming up with that. There wasn't no Islam. When Abraham came forth, there wasn't no Islam. Now, I will say, they did use the word Allah. It's used 59 times in the Bible. Allah. Okay? And you know who uses the word Allah the most of all the books of the Bible by far? 40-something times out of the 59? Job. Job uses it. And the Bible says he was one of the richest men of the East. In other words, that's where he came from. That's where he was living. And Moses wrote about him. And he said Allah. But that is a title. That is not the name of the Father. And the Father told Moses, by my name, they didn't know me. My name, YHWH. They didn't know me. Only Israel are the people called by his name and know his name. Praise the Most High. Let's not get these things twisted. Okay? Let's not get these things twisted. So, cast out the bondwoman, because in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Isaac's going to be the father of the chosen, promised nation. But don't worry, Abraham. Watch. Genesis chapter 21, verse 13. Also, the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. So he's telling Abraham, because I promised your seed is blessed. Whoever your seed is blessed. So I'm going to bless him because he's your seed. But the promised nation, the one I told you about, the one that I called you forth about, that's from Isaac. So Abraham rose up early in the morning. And you also remember the promise that the father gave to his mother, to Hagar. I'm going to make him a great nation. Don't worry. He's going to get 12 princes. She was told he's going to have 12 princes. His own seed, his own princes. Okay? And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water was spent in the bottle, and she cast the child under one of the shrubs. And she went and sat down over against him a good way off, as it were a bow shot. That must have been painful, man. You know, your own child, and you hurt. You're the mother, and you think the child's going to die, and you don't want to see it. That's got to be hard. And way off, as it were a bow shot. And she said, let me not see the death of the child. And she sat over against him and lifted up her voice and wept. And the Most High heard the voice of the lad. And the angel of Yah called to Hagar out of heaven and said unto her, what aileth thee, Hagar? Fear not. For the Most High heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise and lift up the lad and hold him in thy hand, for I will make him a great nation. And the Most High opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the bottle with water and gave the lad drink. And the Most High was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran. And his mother took him a wife out of the land of Mizraim. So his mother arranged his marriage, because Abraham wasn't there. His mother arranged his marriage with a woman of Mizraim, a Hamite. So one thing we know about Ishmael, his mother was a Hamite. He was a Hebrew from his father Abraham, and she had him married off to another Hamite. And he became a great nation in Africa. Even, you hear that? So she married him out of the land of Mizraim. She took a wife for him from the people she was from her people. She was from Mizraim, the Hamites. And so he had children from the Hamitic people with him, right? He became a great nation. Praise the Most High. So the Most High blessed him, the African kingdom. with Ishmael. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. All right. Verse 22. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, spake unto Abraham, saying, the Most High is with thee in all that thou doest. Now therefore swear unto me here by the Most High that thou wilt not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me and to the land wherein thou hast sojourned. And Abraham said, I will swear. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of the well of water which Abimelech's servants had violently taken away. And Abimelech said, I would not who had done this thing, neither didst thou tell me, neither yet heard I of it, but today. And Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them unto Abimelech, and both of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, what meaneth these 7 ewe lambs which thou hast set by themselves? And he said, for these 7 ewe lambs shalt thou take of my hand, that they may be a witness unto me that I have digged this well. Wherefore he called the name of that place Baar Sheba, because they swear both of them. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba, and Abimelech rose up and Phicol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned unto the land of the Philistines. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called on the name of Yahweh, the everlasting Most High. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistines' land many days. Praise the Most High. So the land that was the Philistines was originally with Abimelech, Gerar, and Abimelech made Abraham promise, I'm not going to make war with you. And they did. Of course, we know that later on, this would change, especially when David and Saul came around. But up until this time, they were at peace. Praise the Most High. But the land was promised to Abraham, even the Philistines' land. Praise the Most High. Well, that was chapter 21. Every chapter is powerful here in Genesis. And we're seeing all of our history. Again, we're seeing our history here. We're seeing how our nation began. We're seeing how it was developed, how it was brought forth. And wait to chapter 22, some more powerful stuff. So let's continue to search out that thing with regard to the 5-year-old, if we can find it, 5 years old, for the weaning. Let's see if we can search that out. Look that up. Praise the Most High. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, family.